Hello, friends. Continuing our current sprint on leadership. Well, we had a break on Monday, but continuing with it. Today, I'm going to talk about something that has been requested to me after my last episode on Friday by colleagues of some people who had already joined me in a workshop I had done on leadership. Those colleagues were new people who had joined that category and are stepping into the role of a leader. And they wanted to speak to me and give them some tips, so to say, on how they should go about doing that. So let us first all accept one fact, and that stepping into the position of a leader is generally associated with a mindset and the pressure and stress that goes on with that mindset to get off to a quick start. You step into the role of a leader and you are wanting to prove yourself immediately, so to say. And therefore you look for quick wins. While quick wins are important, undoubtedly, they are, if not well thought of, generally short-lived. And even if they live a little longer than short, they're generally full of holes. And what are the topics that one can generally look for quick wins on? They're all standard topics: cost reduction, process changes, increasing sales. Now, all these quick thought of ideas that will get you quick wins are not well researched because you haven't had the time to understand the organization. And such decisions can be hazardous, not only to your personal growth and being established as a leader, but to the organization on the whole. And therefore, I say that the best way to succeed both in the long term as well as the short term is to slow down. This is contrary to what even I have said at times when it comes to employment, etc. But in those cases, when you're looking and becoming a new employee somewhere, the stakes are far lower, and therefore looking for quick wins is easier and advised. But in a situation where you're stepping in as a leader, I believe you need to slow down. Your role, you have to understand, is to deliver the best results for the organization, and then, of course, everything that's associated with it, especially your team, in the optimal time. It is not required to give it in the shortest time. And your actions in the early days are what will create and establish an impression with everybody within the organization. And as we say, the first impression is the last impression. Well, even if this impression is not the last, to shake it off or to alter it is very difficult and takes a long amount of time. However, having said this, depending on the role and the circumstances in which you have been brought in, maybe you brought in as a leader only to address some critical challenge. Okay? So if you've been brought in at such a time of crisis, then speedy decisions are required. And contrary to something that I will speak of a little later, remember, harsh decisions are also required in such situations. And more often than not, if you use your right judgment, they will be justified. There is nobody who's going to come and tell you, why did you take such a decision? As long as it's the right one, no matter how hard it is. Okay. So having said that, stepping into the role of a new leader, you need to start that journey It's a new journey for you, even if you've been working at the company for a good amount of time. So start that journey with the end in mind. Isn't that what we do about every journey? You don't just drive out of the house and go to Kashmir when you want to go to Tamil Nadu. You're not going to take a U-turn in Kashmir and come back. So you need to decide the end as soon as you start your journey. What is the legacy you want to create? That is the primary question that you should ask yourself and prepare an answer to. What is the story that you will tell people, your children, your family, at the end of your tenure? What will your team members, what will your peers, other colleagues, and what will your bosses say about your leadership? How will your customers and vendors remember you? So to determine what kind of a profile you're going to manage, you need to determine how much focus you will put on the three main tasks that a leader has. First task is a performance. He has to give performance. And in this case, you are going to be judged by the outcomes that your decisions and your management makes. The second is transformation. In this case, you are going to be judged by the kind of organization that you create, run, and leave behind. And the third very important aspect, which very few people will talk of, is talent development. And that is going to be judged by the kind of teams you leave behind. So start your journey in the right way, and you'll go a long way. There are some decisions that you will have to make as soon as you start your journey. And that is, first thing is that you have to determine how you will establish yourself and live the role. You cannot be a fake because you can't live that role. It will drive you nuts if you try to live a role that you yourself have not believed in. So define your values, pen them down, write them down for your own reference, not write them down to share with others within or outside the organization, but for your own reference at all times. And if ever you want to deviate, open that page and look at it again and say, no, this is what I had decided. Identify and quantify your strengths and make decisions based on the strengths you have. If you don't have a particular strength and you need to make a decision, take help. Absolutely no challenge. But use your strengths judiciously and effectively and take your decisions based on that data. Right at the beginning, because this is something that is going to be a long-term factor that you will have to follow, so to say. Define your vision, your mission, and plan the roadmap. But be ready to tweak it as and when required. Do not etch that roadmap on a piece of stone. Write it in the sand, which you can erase and rewrite as required. Consciously practice humility and make an effort. Put up a sign if necessary in front of your table so that you are never in heaven. Be hungry to understand the organization and prepare to ask relevant and intelligent questions. Prepare some of the standard questions that you would need to ask well in advance. And then if that is explained to you in some other way, great. But you need to know certain things and make a questionnaire of what. Some of the typical questions would be, okay, what am I here for? What is it that people hope you achieve? And what is it that the organization and your teams hope they achieve? So it's something that we all achieve together. And that we is very important. You can't work in a situation and create an atmosphere where you are the only one who succeeds and achieves. What is next for the organization? That's something you will always have to think about as a leader, whatever profile you have as a leader. So what is next? And when you are doing all this planning of what is next and how you are going to grow your team, your organization, what are the challenges you foresee? And how will you address them? Think in advance and look at the different scenarios that can come up and how it will affect your plan and your goals on your path to your goals. Find out from every team member who among all of you, it need not be you, knows the best about that particular tricky question that your project has. And if there's nobody in the team knows it, I'm sure the team, and you should find out this, the team or somebody in the team would be definitely knowing somebody who knows the answer to that query. So look out for this. Whenever you take a decision, whatever it is that you do, be aware and realize that whatever you do is going to impact others. And you need to figure out and understand whom it is infecting, how it is infecting, and share the concerns as they arise with the person who is being impacted. Because that also tells that person that you are thinking of him not only for that present, but for your future decisions. And that's the best way you can build a team. Be prepared for and accept challenges realistically. Don't think everything in life is very easy. Peek into the future and prepare for what is coming. That is the sign of a real leader. And therefore, you need to constantly look down the road on what is coming up. And the best leader is one who looks around the corners and does not get caught in a dark alley, in a blind alley. So these are some things that you need to do. And by doing all of these things and put in additional effort if required to get a buy-in from the team on whatever projects and decisions you take. Talk things over with them. Take their opinion. As I said in my previous episode, you can't set a deadline or a goal without your team being taken into confidence. So talk to them and then take the decision. Because you need to remember that leadership is not only about outcomes. Outcomes are important. More often than not, you're going to be judged by the outcomes. Okay? But you need to make sure that you are carrying your team with you. That is the sign of a leader. Okay? So, how are you going to make decisions when you're somebody who's new? The first thing I will tell you is don't make decisions too quickly. We are always, as I said a little while back, looking for those big or whatever kind of quick wins. Do not take decisions too quickly because they may be ill-advised. If by nobody else, by yourself, they may be premature. And at the same time, don't wait to take a decision for so long that the critical moment passes away and you miss the boat, so to say. So you have to manage the urge to respond right away. You need your first win, as I said, but that win should be a sure shot win. As I said, the impact you create on joining and the impact you create on your first win is something that's going to be carried, and you will be remembered for it, judged for it, for your entire life in that position as a leader. So you need to make it a habit, not only in the beginning, but always in life. Learn first, act second. Do not act without fully knowing, and your action to analyze and understand it. Listen, observe before taking a decision. Suspend that decision making till the right moment. The right moment will come when you have understood everything. You have taken a decision and have analyzed what are the challenges that the decision would face, what is the long-term effect of the decision that you have taken. There may be others around you who expect you to take a decision very fast. But unless it is critical, as I said a little earlier, don't take it in a hurry. Okay, but again, as I said earlier, let not that critical moment slip by. You need that's the fatal. That's going to be judged very badly for you. And by and large, what I would suggest to people, newcomers in the leadership position, don't try to address everything. You want to cut costs and you want to increase sales and you want to change processes. Don't try to focus on all things at the same time. For the initial phase, take one of those areas and focus on them. Understand everything about it, and then start addressing how you will change it. And to reach all of this and to understand what you are in for as a leader, talk to a variety of people within and outside the organization. But remember, the people you talk to, some of them will have an agenda of their own. And therefore, they may not be giving you a 100% fair opinion or information when you seek their inputs. Take time, make the effort, and gain insights into the operations, the culture, and the people. And after learning everything, you use your own judgment and take the call. Keep the learnings of the culture and the people in mind. Don't ignore that when taking a call, when making a decision. And that's one more reason why you should not rush in too fast. Because when you rush in too fast, you haven't had enough time and insight into the relationships that people have within the organization, the relationships that you need to build with the people, how your team functions, how are the processes set. You don't know all this at once, and therefore learn a little before taking. And when you are in the role already and starting to roll, control the flow. There are many times that data comes in and information comes in at a certain speed. But your thought process, your way of operating, your way of understanding and analyzing everything, that data is coming in too fast. Control the flow. Let the data come in, don't address it right away. Or tell the people that, okay, I want it in this manner. Reflect on everything that comes your way, so that, and control the flow so that you can reflect properly. But you need to reflect and see what the data is telling you. When you are in meetings, when you are talking to people, repeat what has been discussed. Not outright saying, okay, so this is, say, okay, so what you are trying to say, and repeat it. This not only confirms that you have understood, because in the initial stages, you may not know the communication style of that other person, but it also allows you and gives you time to think and react. Ask questions because that will clear any ambiguity you have, and there's no harm in doing that. And make use of pauses. Use that silent moment to think and draft your answer before speaking it out. Very important thing, which, as I said right in the beginning, most leaders ignore is the team building requirement and effort. Do not, under any circumstances, shirk that responsibility. Get to know your colleagues. Build some amount of camaraderie. Don't just talk shop. Slowly ease into it. And at all times, demonstrate what you stand for. Showcase your value through actions, values through actions. Explain your decisions. They'll start understanding you better. And explain upfront your review and review mechanisms and how you're going to evaluate their performance. Explain to the team how you expect to work with them. Set and clarify goals and milestones. Speaking to them, taking their opinion. They know the speed at which they work the best. And while doing all this, re-establish and clarify even the existing processes, even if you're not changing it, because that will ensure that you are on the same page and that you have understood correctly what that old process is all about. Be accessible at all times for the team, but set the rules. Open hours, open door hours. Closed door means I'm in deep work, do not disturb. Communicate and explain to them. There is no shame in telling them what and how. And remember, in the initial stages, over-communicating is better than under-communicating. Aim for an early win. That's that balancing that you need to do, but one that is based on sound judgment and understanding. So with your team, be clear and communicate what is your decision-making process very clearly. Evaluate the team's performance, but explain the process you will follow for the same. Encourage the teams to connect. That's very important. And look for roadblocks and existing challenges. At times you will try to do something good, but doesn't happen because of certain old existing challenges. Try to fix them. Don't jump to conclusions. Okay. Don't assume that the team members have understood what you have communicated. Verify it. In the initial stages, as I said, all this is very important. Accept that cultural and value transgressions will occur. Take them up. Don't let them slide by, but take them up with all the humility that you can manage. So remember, the first impression is the most important one and is very difficult to alter, as I said right in the beginning. So step into the role, the new role, wishing you all the very best. Step into it with confidence but caution. Okay, and use these tips to make life a little easier while settling in. Thank you. And I hope the guys who asked for this enjoyed it and are gaining something from it. Do send me your comments and let me know how it has worked. Thank you. Have a great